Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Mike,
I'm B.
and we're your average characters. And one thing that is important to note here with us being average, and this is a disclaimer here, everything that is expressed on this show is our opinion. We are not claiming to be experts. We just claim to be average. That's all. And
Perfectly said.
part of the reason that I'm mentioning this right now is I don't know what the heck Elon Musk is doing, but he's apparently threatening lawsuits for people who are speaking freely.
Yeah. Wait, but I thought they were the party of free speech. What happened?
Not when it comes to apparently criticizing Musk or his band of merry men when they raid the Treasury.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, after
Wow.
that, apparently the First Amendment, goes right out the window. I don't know if he's,
So,
being serious about, any of these lawsuits, but the fact that he's even doing it is beyond despicable and frightening. And
so,
it's almost a page out of Trump's playbook. It's like,
uh-huh.
I'm going to sue you for this. I'm going to sue you for that. I'm going to sue and sue and sue and sue and sue.
So are you saying that they are lying?
Maybe. I mean, it's like, yeah, we believe in freedom of speech, as long as we're the ones that get to speak freely and not you.
Okay. Okay. So the golden rule doesn't apply anymore.
Did it ever? I mean, we just had an episode, talking about, how they don't follow, Jesus's teachings. So it's like, why would they even
Yeah.
follow the golden rule or any, sort of
Hmm.
ethics, at all? I mean, these people are slime. I mean, they are just
Wow.
genuine slime. But you know what is really scary? Now that Elon Musk, has gotten access to the treasury and all of that information, to say all bets are off is, practically, meaningless. And
Yeah.
not meaningless, an understatement. All bets are off is
Hmm.
an understatement.
So true.
And,
Hmm.
we're both, in tech, and we know
Hmm.
how dangerous, informate private information can be,
100%.
but dangerous it is when private information is in the wrong hands. And
Oh
honestly, I
yeah.
can't think of anybody who's, in the wronger hands than Elon,
Right.
President
Right.
Musk.
Uh, the one thing that kind of I'm a little bit like scared, but then like not as I'm in tech just like you. I do Oracle. The good thing is that Oracle is with Larry Ellison, and Larry Ellison and Elon are in good cahoots. So I think if you're an Oracle financials or Oracle type of application, I think you're safe. You're okay.
How so?
Like I'm saying, I think your job is okay. That
Oh,
kind,
I
you
see
know,
what you mean.
because of the fact that, at least we kind of have an inner cahoots with them somehow because of Larry Ellison. So,
A
but
billionaire might save us from a billionaire.
exactly, yeah. I mean that's really all that we can have hope for, I guess,
Yeah.
in this hellscape that we're in living in. We're definitely in the worst timeline possible. You
Yeah.
know, I everything I thought it was going to be bad, but the muzzle velocity of what's happening is insane. I mean, it's just like you're hit by this, hit by that, hit by this, hit by this. It's like all they're doing is bombarding the airwaves. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this, do that. I'm like, what the heck? And then so then you're just caught there and you're like, my eggs haven't gone down. My egg prices haven't gone down.
And some people have said that a lot of this, blitz of executive orders and all that, like you said, flooding the airwaves
Yeah.
is meant to distract us from,
Hmm.
something even bigger. Um,
I don't know if it's even anything bigger. I think it's just a bunch of stuff going on. So then most of it goes through. That's what I feel it's more of doing, you know? I mean, more and more of what I'm seeing, I just feel like as if they just want to do a bunch of stuff and then whatever doesn't pass, they're like, okay, that's fine, but we got all this other stuff done. So So I feel like everything that they're doing is bad, but they're just going to try to push it. It's like when you have an artery with blood, you want to
Mhm.
push in as much shit through as you can.
Cool. An interesting analogy there, I'll say that.
I'm sorry. But here's another interesting way of saying it. Trump administration, it's just diarrhea all the time. It just never ends.
Yeah, and now they're going to flush all of our money down. Well, they're not going to flush our money down the toilet. They're going to hoard it for themselves.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
somehow they're going to find, okay, everything is waste, fraud, and abuse right now. It's like
Yep. Yep.
any dollar that is spent for anything good is
hmm
waste, fraud, and abuse. So it'll be better off, in the billionaires' pockets
Mm.
because they're the job creators and all of that.
Yeah. Oh. Like I said, another billionaire may save us. We don't know.
Well, you see, I something really disappointed me recently. So the DNC elected their new chair. Did you hear about this?
I heard that they elected a new chair, but I don't know anything about him.
Well, he is apparently okay with taking money from good, I'm doing air quotes here, good billionaires.
Ooh.
Apparently, he doesn't
Okay.
see that as a problem. It's like, dude, billionaires shouldn't exist. Billionaires
Yeah.
are the problem. I mean, the fact
Yes.
that anybody can accumulate that amount of money based on exploitation and
Mm.
um and get tax breaks and all of that, that shouldn't be allowed.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean that scares me to be honest with you. When you said that, I was like, "Holy cow!" So, so essentially, he's like, "Oh, it's okay to take." I disagree with that wholeheartedly, 100%.
Because it's like I guess I don't know who he's thinking about. Like maybe Bill Gates and Mark Cuban, like those folks.
I mean, here's the problem. When you're like they're always going to go toward one thing. They're going to always look for how to fill their pockets thicker, you know? So if you have billionaires on your team, the problem is that they're gonna do whatever it takes to make their wallet thicker. That's all they're gonna do.
Right.
So you always have that as a problem because they're gonna like if there's a bill that will help a whole bunch of people but doesn't give a big tax break to them, they're gonna be like, oh, this is useless.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
remembering that Princeton study from
Yeah.
several years ago where it said that, a policy that is liked, by the people is far
hmm
less likely to get implemented than a policy that is liked by billionaires, lobbyists,
Yes.
those,
Correct.
those
Correct.
corporations, those folks.
Correct.
Um,
The more and more I'm seeing what's happening here in the US, I feel like as if what happened to us right now and these elections and everything that's been happening, I think it's the dumbing down of America, and that's primarily caused by the increase in the education prices.
Well, a lot of people have been effectively locked out of education one way or another.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, there used to be a strong emphasis on, having a broad like liberal arts, education, stuff related to civics and stuff like
hmm
that. And now it's like, okay, yeah, we will, teach, this stuff to those who can afford it. But now those universities that were supposedly, I'm doing a lot of air quotes today, liberal
Yeah. Yeah.
bastions,
Yeah.
like, promoting,
Yeah.
ideas of like, being good to other people.
hmm
They're now being gutted and
Right.
they're trying to stop FAFSA. They're trying to get rid of the Department of Education altogether. Um,
Right.
but yeah, you talk about the dumbing down of America, going back to the 80s, again with
hmm
Reagan, it's like, okay, let's get gut, education and, give it to the Pentagon. Um, and, let's make this electorate as dumb as possible.
Right.
I love low information voters. I love them.
Well, now we understand that most of America now is low information voters who
Hmm.
don't even care about like most of the people didn't even know what a tariff was during the election.
Yeah. They thought it was something that the other country was gonna,
would have to pay for.
yeah,
Yeah,
would have to pay for that, would somehow punish them. And it's like, no, it's a regressive it's a regressive, sales tax basically
right.
gets, passed on to us.
And there were some people like I mean, basic civics would have taught them what that was. And then
Mhm.
on top of that, like some people thought that they could change their vote after the election was over.
Really?
Yeah, there was like a big Google search of how to change my vote after
Wow.
the election was over and it was decided.
Wow.
So, I mean, it just shows you that we've gotten really dumb here in America, but it's primarily due to the increasing costs of education. So, if education was what it was like for like since FDR time till now, like if it only increased at a steady pace instead of this exorbitant exponential curve, I think we wouldn't be in this situation because more people would be more what do you call it, educationally sound on what's going on in the world, and then they would actually vote accordingly based on what's best in their interests.
Well, it's not just the cost of education,
Mhm.
it's the discourse where education is demonized by the right. So
That is true. It is super
you got
demonized.
parents who like don't want to send their kids, to certain schools or, whatever because they're afraid of, some liberal, indoctrination or, that
Mhm.
somehow their kid's going to go to school and they're going to come back trans or something like that.
Right.
Or, suddenly they're going to, think, hey, maybe universal health care is a good idea or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like both you and I have been to college.
Yeah.
I've got 3 degrees.
Mhm.
At no point did I ever feel like I was being indoctrinated by any sort of
Yeah.
ideology. I took sociology,
Hmm.
as which has been, I think, in a way unfairly criticized as being, far to the left. But no,
Right.
when I got a, very good balanced education on conservative theories and
Hmm.
more progressive and liberal theories too, and I walked out of there feeling very well rounded. Um,
Hmm.
and with computer programming, I mean, there was really no ideology there at all. I took computer programming classes, and I
You're
came
just
out
solving
exactly
problems.
just fine.
Yeah, yeah. In computer applications and programming and everything, it's just you're just solving problems. That's
Mhm.
all you're doing. So, but whereas the civics of like the other classes, they are essential because you need to understand what's best for society, what's best for you. You need to
Mhm.
understand what how things interact with each other in the environment. You know. So I think a lot of that is missing now,
Yeah, and
and
Republicans figured out many years ago, and this is
hmm
tragic, that the way that they had to what they had to do in order to win was to
hmm
make the electorate stupid.
yep.
Like, just don't think, go with your gut, stop caring about facts, don't believe
Mm.
science, don't believe,
Right.
don't believe anybody but me. And that's where it
Yes.
came down to. It's like, I know everything, nobody else know, and people
Yes.
bought it.
Remember, I alone can fix it.
I alone can fix everything.
I alone can fix it.
We are going to be winning with fixing.
Yes. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of winning right now. I'm kind of like Leonard out,
If
So,
this is if this is winning,
oof. I
I
want to be
I
losing.
would hate to imagine what losing looks like.
Actually, I want to be losing if this is winning. Can't be any worse.
Yeah. Um, you know what I want to be really careful about how I
Mhm.
describe this because I do not want to excuse Biden on any of this.
Okay.
But look at what has happened with Gaza now, or what is likely to happen. Now, I
Mhm.
can't imagine that Kamala would have gotten on board with what Trump wants to do now. And for those of you that don't know, basically what Trump wants to do is send U.S. troops into. I mean,
Mhm.
he hasn't quite said that, but he hasn't ruled it out. Um, and somehow displace the Palestinians, and turn Gaza into some like beachfront, resort property for his billionaire buddies.
You've seen the Bond villain, Netanyahu over there. He's like smiling from ear to ear. He's just
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, yeah, 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 please, U.S. Troops go there, and then you guys do whatever you got to do, and then yeah, let's evict the people, and then we'll take it over."
Yeah. Which,
You know, I mean, think about
I,
it.
I
Like,
just, I can't, I can imagine that Kamala Harris's policy towards Gaza may not have been ideal. And I am sure
mhm,
people, there would be people that would have protested whatever it ultimately was, but it could not have been worse
as
than what
bad.
Trump was about.
Yeah,
Couldn't have been.
yeah,
It couldn't have been.
yeah. I mean,
And again, I understand
mhm,
why people stayed out of it, but why
right.
people, stayed out of it. But, you know, this is what happened. This is ultimately what
Yeah.
happened. And I can't imagine that
Mhm.
Kamala would have had a worse policy on this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if Kamala was still there, at least we'd still have the feeling that a two-state solution is possible. Now it's like the two-state solution is basically shut, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, if we take over Gaza and we displace all the Palestinians, I mean, it's what hope is that?
We've got Iraq War too.
Yeah. And
Congratulations, we've entered George W. Bush territory. Yay.
yay.
Ugh,
Exactly. Yeah.
so
Um,
depressing.
yeah. So it's it's been really hard this especially this last, week or so to
Mhm.
be to see a silver lining.
I mean, right now, I feel. Remember that thing on Gladiator 2 about the gates of hell are open,
Oh, yes.
smooth as the descent? I'm
Yes.
not feeling the smoothness of the descent, but it's a descent. We're descending into hell.
Yeah.
You know.
And what is another thing like I'm just not sure is like what is Musk's end game with this or
Oh,
what is
I
his
I know what it is. I know what
what?
it is. He wants to be the first trillionaire before Bezos, number one. That's his number one mission.
Hmm.
Number two mission is that he wants the anarcho-capitalism that's there in Argentina to be here in the US fully. So essentially, he wants high unemployment. He wants the robber barons to get all of the money. He wants to gut social safety net. And then he feels that that is the best for society because him as one of the robber barons will just get more and more wealthy. So his mission is it's essentially what's happening in Argentina right now with that Milei guy. He's basically gutting like the whole administrative state and making it so that like and that's why now the poverty rate over in Argentina is going astronomically higher every single month. And that's really his goal as Elon Musk. He wants poverty to increase so then he can have more and more power.
I was not familiar with what was going on in Argentina, so there actually is
A
something out
template.
there. There's a
Yeah.
template out there. I mean,
Hmm.
in general, we've talked about templates, we've focused on like Hungary or Turkey or Russia, but I
Right.
was not aware of Argentina
Uh,
as this is
yeah, I mean, essentially
news
the
to me.
guy, his name is Milei. He's
Mhm.
basically like he wants capitalism on steroids to be the
Mhm.
big thing. And he wants the administrative state to have no like there's no social safety net at all. He doesn't want any of that because he wants everything to be based on the market only. So he wants like the market to determine everything on steroids. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. You need to have a mix of both public and private entities, and then you need to have both capitalism as well as a social safety net in order for things to work. You need to have that harmonious mix. But he
Yeah.
believes in no harmonious mix. He's like capitalism times steroid. It's almost like if you think about it, it's like crony capitalism on steroids. So he just wants the rich to get richer and he wants more power more deregulation, like what he doesn't care about regular people. He only cares about him and anybody in his ranks. It's called anarcho-capitalism.
No, it's just baffling,
I
that this because effectively
Yeah.
that's a pathway right to a what's colloquially referred to as a third world country. You
I mean,
know,
that's kind of what he wants,
I
if you
mean,
think about it.
for many years, I mean, there used to be a joke about this that if you wanted an anarcho-capitalist or libertarian type
Hmm.
paradise, go to Somalia,
Yeah,
which had
there
for
you
many
go.
years no stable government whatsoever. And it's really
Hmm.
interesting. It's like you think that, some of the more, intellectual types would look at that, and say, hey, maybe that's not such a good idea. But
Yeah,
ultimately, what they're looking for is what, Musk and, those like him are looking for is a government that exists, but exists only to serve and protect the wealthy,
the robber barons.
the robber barons, the
Hmm.
oligarchs,
Yes,
and
correct.
then
And
everybody
that's
else,
really what he
just
wants.
starves to death in the streets.
Yes, he doesn't give a shit about any of the people. That's why he hates unions. He hates anything that helps regular average people like you and me
Hmm.
or anybody on our audience. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, we should probably do like a nice deep dive into the anarcho-capitalism of insanity that's happening in Argentina, and then we'll be able to figure out what's exactly going to happen in the future here because that's our template of the future.
Well, the word anarcho-capitalism shares a root with anarchy, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Correct. But yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting for us to see, like on an episode maybe, where we actually see, hey, how's Argentina doing? And then we will be able to extrapolate on where we're going to be in a year or two.
Yeah.
So, so I would not be surprised.
And
Hmm.
what's another thing that's concerning, like, that direction that we're going in, it's like who is going to stop these guys? I mean, for
I,
for almost like for 200 plus years, I guess there was this assumption that if the courts, said, no, you can't do that, people would be like, all right, we won't do that. Or we'll find, something else to do to get what we want or whatever. Now
I
it's
mean,
like,
the one positive is that the courts here in the U.S. do have some power, which is
right.
good.
But what I was about to get to is
Hmm.
could Trump and Musk just say, okay, the courts have ruled this way. Um, let them enforce it. We're not listening.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
very
what
possible.
it's like
Mhm.
they already struck down Trump's ability to freeze the funds and everything. And I know this
Right.
isn't quite the same thing, but it's like, okay, now Musk goes and raids the treasury.
Right. Pretty much.
It's like, well, you didn't
I,
say we couldn't do that.
one thing I can definitely tell you is if there's even one Social Security payment that's not in people's bank accounts at the time that it needs to be, you're going to see some. I mean, the good thing is that we're already seeing not riots, but we're seeing protests in the
Hmm.
streets, which is great. But when you start messing with people's funds for them to live, and those aren't there, you might see a bigger uprising than we would expect, which would be good, because they're going to be like, hey, how am I supposed to live without my check, my Social Security payment, or whatever?
Yeah.
Or, because right now I think what he did was like he raided Medicaid, right? And Medicare or something like that.
Hmm.
But but it looks like it didn't affect anybody that's on it, so I think we're okay. But as soon as it does, which will happen, because when you mess with people's stuff like that, you're gonna do stupid stuff. So, uh, and especially like the crew that he's got, the crew is not like, oh my goodness, government, what do you call it? They're not even like, what do you call it? They weren't even verified by the government, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, these are just people who are just doing it whatever they want. So they don't care, you know? So they're going to make a mistake, and that mistake is going to hurt a lot of people, and that's going to cause probably more protests in the streets, I hope.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it'd be, I mean, and it would be ironic, but also nice to see some of the Trumpers, if they get screwed over somehow, to finally develop some consciousness and, get out there. I mean, for goodness sake, is there a possibility that, fuck ups, at this level could actually bring people together,
It's
and
possible.
go
I
into the
mean,
streets and, protest for their rights?
we are seeing a lot of FAFO, which means fuck around and find out. So
Mhm.
people have messed around, and now they're finding out, ugh, this what we did was probably not a good idea. So if we're seeing more and more of that, and then they actually, I honestly think that Social Security check, like if that Security check in any way affects a bunch of people, you're gonna see some protests, big protests, because people are gonna be like, yo. It's almost like a third rail. You just don't mess with them on that, you know? So, because I mean, this is basically I mean, people are surviving on that, you know? And then once that happens, dude, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the big test. But I mean, already I'm seeing a lot of issues. I mean, right now I'm not. It's not safe to fly in the U.S. I haven't heard of this flying issue. I mean, we had what is it? Almost three plane crashes or like plane stuff happening.
I heard of two. The
I think
the
it
one
was
with the
like
helicopter, the one with the helicopter and the medical flight. Was there a third?
yeah, I think there was another one too, possibly. But and then there was also one that I seen where like what is it? A J Japanese Airlines plane hit like a Delta plane on the side. So like it broke the wing on one area. The good thing is nobody got hurt, but
Oh
I'm
my
like, how is this
goodness.
happening?
Oh my-
I've just never heard of this kind of weirdness. Like I feel like as if Trump is trying to make 9/11 great again or something, you know? He's trying to bring us back to 9/11. You know, that was the last time I've ever heard of a plane crash, you know?
Well,
And
I
now
mean, there
not
had been
within the
others,
US.
but you know,
Within the US, you
yeah.
know? So I mean it's just weird that it's like we're going back to, you know, like 2021. I mean 2001, you know? So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like as if it's getting any better because they're not adding more FAA people or control tower people. You need
Yeah.
more of them.
Well,
So
DEI.
yeah,
It's all
yeah.
DEI's fault.
You know, well, you know what? Now I'm feeling like as if DEI probably prevented all this stuff because, you know, like if they're saying like they just removed DEI, right? And then
Yeah.
all this stuff happened. So that
Yeah.
means
So there
when
you go.
DEI was there, we were fine. So
Yeah.
it's either we have DEI or die. I'm going to choose DEI. Let's go with DEI. Let's make
Good
DEI
one.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather choose DEI over die. You know?
We are coming up. Oh, we actually we passed the 10-minute mark. We are at 8 minutes left.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I wanted to ask you one thing because we've kind of,
Hmm.
what have you been doing to stay sane through this? I've been trying to like keep myself, occupied with some of my hobbies
Right.
and spending, time with my wife
Yeah.
and all of that and trying to get out of the house and everything.
I
I
think what you just said is perfect.
yeah.
Have a hobby. My hobby is bowling, so and then I also have my doctorate, which I'm trying to finish up. So those two kind of keep me away from the news as much as possible, so then I
Mhm.
can keep my sanity. But I think the big thing is that now, with all of the craziness that's happening, I just kind of went to like a state where I already know more than likely we have an 80% chance of a depression happening within these 4 years. I'm pretty much sure of it.
And by
80%.
depression, you mean economic depression, right?
Economic depression.
Because I've been
100%.
pretty, I think we've all been pretty
Yeah,
depressed,
we've all been
right?
depressed. Yeah, yeah,
Mentally.
no. Yeah, economic depression. Thank you for the clarification. But yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, I think just to keep ourselves sane is just what is it? Plan for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yeah.
So, and keep that hope pretty small. But just keep on planning for the worst. And I think the best thing to do is to just have some time during the day of like at least an hour or 10 minutes or sometime during the day where you can just be like, it's just you and your thoughts and your thoughts of something peaceful. Think of something peaceful, like whether it's like, you in the woods for like 10 minutes or whatever, or, just cricket sounds at night, whatever it is, something, or birds chirping, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat. Do that every day, at least for 10 minutes, because that will at least kind of center you so then you can at least handle the madness that's the muzzle velocity of craziness that's going to keep on happening.
I actually have tried. I've actually tried to do that visualization thing that you were talking about, for 10 minutes. And unfortunately, this type of thing happens to me. I'll be like, okay, I am at peace.
Um,
I'm imagining myself on a beach. Trump wants to turn Gaza into beachfront property. Ah!
oh, no, no, no. Oh, there's
Oh,
too many trigger words. Too
I
many trigger
know.
words. That's the problem. Oh, I'm telling you that Gaza thing, every time I think of it, it's like depression upon depression, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, oh, I
But
mean, I hope that one day people will forgive the people of our timeline for unfortunately being accomplices with the bombs that have basically bombarded Gaza and that are going to be now bombarding the West Bank. Don't be fooled. They're doing the same thing to West Bank right now.
well, I hope at some point we're forgiven. I mean, we're forgiven for all of our imperialistic, nation building, type attempts, throughout the
Right.
years. Because
I mean, I
this
feel
is not our first rodeo. And we could
no.
spend
I
an
feel
entire
yeah.
episode on, the imperialism, that the US has engaged in.
Mhm. So true. One thing I noticed about us right now, if there is a world war or any type of war that's going to happen right now, uh, unfortunately, us in the US, we're going to be the bad guys.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's a realization that's really haunting me every day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. On a sober note, have your healthcare, have your home health, home health,
Home health care, self-care, is that what you're?
self-care, self-care. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Continue on the home self-care and then just be in Zen and then just if you can try to just have 10 minutes where you're just with you and yourself. That's it. And of thinking something peaceful.
And I'm going to say that is a great note to end
Yeah.
this on. Um,
Cool.
so, as always, thank you all very much for watching this episode watching and or listening to this episode. Please give this video a like. If you have not subscribed yet, we very much hope you will do so. It is because of
Please subscribe.
yes, please subscribe. It's because of your support that we are able to continue creating content like this. And yes, as B said, please do what you need to do to practice self-care and stay sane in an otherwise insane world. And we will see you next time.
Bye bye.